Did you know that for this movie, director Fede Alvarez sought out the special effects crew from Aliens to work on the creatures? Physical sets, practical creatures, and miniatures were used wherever possible to help ground later VFX work. So the Alien franchise is one of the most iconic sci-fi horror franchises of all time. And I can't believe they're continuing to make Alien movies. I was so excited when I read that Fede Alvarez is going to be taking the helm for Alien Romulus, and I just had really high hopes for this movie, and after seeing it last night, I can say that this movie lives up to the hype. People love this movie. It's got some really great ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, and I have 3 things that I loved about this movie, and the last thing is my favorite thing. So the first thing that I loved about this movie was the story. I like the story a lot. It was pretty straightforward, pretty simple. I know sometimes sci-fi movies like this can get caught up in details, can get a little complex and confusing, and kind of leave audiences disinterested. This was a pretty straightforward story. The characters in this movie were trying to get off their planet, create a better life for themselves, and like any group of rebellious young adults, they do something kind of stupid and they go after a abandoned spaceship, Romulus. This movie reminded me a little bit of the framework for Don't Breathe, which was an amazing movie. The main framework was a group of teenagers break into a house and they think it's going to be easy and they won't run into any problems, and of course then everything goes to crap. Same idea here, a group of young adults break into a place they really shouldn't break into, but they don't see a problem with it. They don't think there's going to be any problems. Then everything just ends up going terribly wrong. There were certain points in the movie, it really did feel like we were watching one of the original Alien movies. Just the music and the shots were what really reminded me of Alien and Alien. So apparently this movie does take place in between the first Alien movie and Aliens. So I can understand why, you know, I was feeling some nostalgia. Is because that's what Fede Alvarez wanted us to feel. Second reason I love this movie, the violence, the tension, and just the overall just bloody mess of this movie. I mean, Fede Alvarez is the type of director who doesn't shy away from grotesque moments. If you've seen Evil Dead, if you've seen Don't Breathe, he loves incorporating moments that make the viewer extremely uncomfortable. He wants to make the audiences as uncomfortable as possible, yet at the same time he maintains some really solid, classic horror moments. Seeing a xenomorph in action is always awesome. They're just so cool, and there are tons of them in this movie. Face huggers everywhere, like the couple of great scenes in the movie that utilize face huggers and how crazy, how fast they are. And like I said, I love that Fede did not shy away from grotesque moments, over the top bloody moments, over the top deaths, over the top everything, and it just was the kind of action and kind of horror that just draws you in and keeps you there. And then my favorite moment in this movie, there are too many favorite scenes for me, but I will say my favorite moment in this movie was the last half an hour or so. I've heard great things from people who saw the movie before I did, and they were talking about the third act. Like, they said, this is crazy, this makes it the greatest horror movie this year, and I have to agree with them. The last 30 minutes of this movie solidified this movie as the best horror movie of 2024. I'm not going to go into specifics because there are some spoilers, there are some stuff I want you guys to be surprised about. Let's just say Fede took all the horror aspects, took all the crazy things that happened in this movie, and he turned it up to 11. And I just gotta say hats off to Fede for his job in this movie, because I'm just so happy that this Alien movie really delivered. The last couple Alien movies were good, but they were not great. This movie was great, so I highly recommend see Alien Romulus as soon as you possibly can, because it's an incredible horror movie. So for Alien Romulus, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10 Mudflaps. Remember, leave me a thumbs up and drop in the comments below. What is your favorite Alien movie? See you next time.